This is Sportish.
Do it better.
This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish. This is Sportish.
This is Sportish, the show with two working microphones and a whole lot of attitude. Thanks for finding us on ForTheFans, FTFnext.com, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Geoff Brault. He's Dr. Keith Strudler, Director of the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University. And Keith, I think right off the top, we need to acknowledge for the people just how crisp our audio sounds this episode. Boy, is that great.
You are so unprofessional. You are so let me walk the viewers through what just happened. What just happened? And we had a code red. We literally had a code red. All right. And I made it very clear. I'm on a bit of a schedule tonight. It's free movie night in Ridgewood. There's Ben and Jerry's is being everyone knows this. So we get on and everything's great, except Jeff's microphone's not working. Not working.
It was working. It wasn't working well, but it was working.
It's working if you like to hear, if you liked everything that you heard to sound like Mickey Mantle's farewell speech, right? Or that's Joe DiMaggio.
No, that's a terrible reference. You meant Lou Gehrig's farewell speech is what you meant. Today. I consider myself.
So the mic's not working. Now, Jeff has bought a bargain basement microphone. There's no doubt about that. We know that to be true, correct?
I have bought the quality of microphone that accurately reflects the quality of the show that is spoken into it.
So it's not working. It's not working. We run through a few kind of obvious things. Jeff does the obvious thing and gets a cord from his printer and plugs it into the microphone.
Well, it's the same cord. The same cord just happens to work in a printer and in the microphone. You do realize that this world of having 900 different cords stopped. And now we got three cords. You got your Lightning, your USB-A, and your USB-C, and I need another USB-C, and I stuck that guy right in the back of the microphone.
Garbage
and now
microphone.
Here we are.
It's running off printer cables. And so now it's not working. And so I present an option. I say, why don't you use your earbuds? And Jeff goes, that's it, show's over.
Because I do not see you have utter disdain for our audience, right? And this is why I am the most popular host of Sportish, and most people just tune in because of how much they hate you.
You were quitting.
I will never deliver a subpar product to our loyal pod
is a
family.
subpar product. This right here. This is the 70th subpar product we have delivered. This. And so instead of being a big boy and being like, well, I'll just figure it out. I'll just do it on I had to text, and this is a true story. I had to text Jay Friedman to see, because Jay Friedman is our emergency fill-in host, but I thought this was like a godparent. You never expect them to actually take over the children. This was about to happen.
This is ludicrous. Because I was still in the process of troubleshooting, and you tried to tell me you had this problem diagnosed, because everybody knows that Keith Strudler is a technical wizard. You go, well, it has to be the circuitry in the microphone. You didn't spend enough money on the microphone, which is such a rich person thing to say. If only you had bought something a little better, it would still be working. Like the amount something costs is directly proportional to the quality that it is. That's ridiculous. So I was still in the middle of troubleshooting, the problem. We're just going to yell over each other now. That's what we're going to do. Two people talking at once into working microphones. That's the way the rest of this show is going to go. We're going to see whose microphone is louder by just shouting into them without
a $12 tour of Italy. And we'll see whether Price. You can have all the pasta you want. For $12, you can eat yourself into a diabetic seizure. Okay.
So I'm trying to test my microphone, and I go, the last thing that I need to do, because I've tried multiple cables, I've tried multiple tests with the volume settings on the microphone or the programs that we use to record each episode of Sportish. The only thing that I hadn't done is reset the computer. And what's the first thing that you do whenever any piece of electronics stops working? You unplug it and you plug it back in. And Keith goes, well, there's no way that's going to work. Not a chance. And then you were so upset that you might be 2.5 minutes late to Maleficent and that all the good Cherry Garcia might be taken of the free Ben and Jerry's that they're giving out? How rich are you that your town gives away free Ben and Jerry's ice cream? This isn't like the crap you eat with a wooden spoon by the pool. That is a brand name ice cream. What kind of taxes do you pay? That is a ludicrous thing to be getting for free. Ben and Jerry's ice cream? Now, you were so upset that I'm going to have to restart my computer that you just said, no, there's no way. It'll never work. That won't change anything. The only way you're going to get this fixed is if you go down the street to your neighbor's house and has to borrow their microphone. A true suggestion that you had. Like everyone just flush with pro audio gear in my neighborhood, and I can get a cardioid mic.
You live in a townhouse community. You live in a townhouse community. If you are in a population dense area. We are in a Zoom landscape. The whole world has turned their home office into a studio. There probably is a broadcast quality mic, no more than 2 or 3 doors down. No more than 2 or 3 doors down. You just needed to get on your community intercoms and say, I need a microphone. I need to do a show. And because right now I can tell you there is some poor sap who is in the middle of an emergency surgery who is waiting because our backup host, Jay Friedman, got the text he had been dreading yet waiting for his entire life. It was the code red was here. The code red had happened. He picked up the phone and he read, as I wrote to him, serious question, period. Are you available right now to do a show? That is code red. That's code red. And I'm sure he walked away from, I don't know, a heart transplant. Who knows? Who knows? And you, of course, were not helpful at all. You were like, we do a show, don't do a show. I don't care.
I was extremely helpful going through the troubleshooting process, and all I had to do was restart my computer, and now everything works great. It all works great. I knew it would work out. I knew it would work out from the very beginning. You gave up so easily. How do you do triathlons? This would be like if you stubbed your toe 3 steps away from the start line. You'd be like, well, that's it. Got to amputate it.
So let's play hypothetical here. So what if it didn't work out? Because what you should have and what I have is a backup microphone.
Because you live in a town that gives away free Ben and Jerry's. We've been over this. Not everybody lives in a 2-microphone household. Some of us are just trying to make ends meet with 1 microphone.
I have a backup microphone for cases just like this. In fact, if it happened on my end, it wouldn't miss a beat. I'd be like, give me 1 second. I have a microphone waiting for this very purpose. Just like I have a backup computer. I have a backup everything. I have a backup. I have 2 extra kids that have a small home outside the house just in case my 2 decide to leave. I have a backup wife. I have a backup everything. That dome hockey
you aren't living.
I got another one in the garage just waiting. I got a backup for everything.
If you aren't living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. And you know that I don't have a backup to anything. Microphones, plans, nothing. If plan A doesn't work, we are packing it in. However, plan A worked. And here we are. So are you ready to do a show that the people demand, or do you just want to talk over each other for another 20 minutes?
I'm a little disappointed because I have big plans for this show, and you know what my plans are. But yet now I'm starting to feel maybe I need to be looking at a different co-host. I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe I need to be looking at a different co-host. Maybe we need to find a technical producer. Maybe we need to find someone with a little bit of acumen. Or maybe we need to find, most people that do shows like this don't bring their own equipment to work. That's provided to them by any of the people that they may work for. Not us. That's not our ethos. Oh, no, that's not what we do here.
Get yourself a backup microphone. The backup microphone could be a $5 microphone. You know, like when you have a flat tire, you put on a donut. The donut's not as good as the regular microphone, but you know what it does? It drives. It works. You need a donut in that house.
No, I have run flat tires, just like I have a run flat microphone. It's going to work just fine and get me to the destination as long as I don't drive over 55 miles an hour.
Infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. Your lack of professionalism is, you know what it is? It's what's wrong with America. It is what's wrong with America.
Your refusal to go through the process to solve a problem before giving up.
I was solving the problem.
Truly wrong with America, because you have Keith Strudler, the same thing that 40% of American respondents to a recent One poll have, and that is just an godly sense of hubris, right? An ego the size of the room. There are 40% of Americans, according to a study by one poll, that believe they are fit enough to be an Olympian. 40% of people believe they are fit enough to be an Olympian, that they have an Olympic level of fitness. That's delusional.
That is delusional. But now that's stated a little bit differently than I thought it was. Is that because fitness is a particular way of being? Like, you could be very fit, but do you mean, like, I don't think the Greco-Roman wrestler is all that fit. He's kind of chunky.
Yeah, but like, I bet you wouldn't say that if there was a Greco-Roman wrestler standing next to you.
I would. I'd say, you know what? You could stand to lose a few. I would say exactly that. So, but I thought the idea of the survey was 40% thought they could compete in the Olympic Games, correct?
Well, the question they were asked is, are you fit enough to be an Olympian? And then they were asked, what sports do you believe you are fit enough to compete in? And look, this is where the poll could have redeemed itself a bit. This is the part where somebody could have said, oh yeah, no, I believe I'm in shape to compete in table tennis. And in terms of like cardiovascular health, yeah, you probably are. In terms of skill, you probably aren't. But that's not what these people said. You know the three most common responses?
This number 2 is the one that really threw me. Swimming.
Soccer, where you have to run 17 miles in a 90-minute period. And basketball. I mean, it was, I mean, they could have said cycling. It might have made it worse, or marathoning. Yep. But the fact that they went after swimming seemed to be, because there are a lot of people that said that might drown in the 1500. They may not make it out. So 1500 gets long. So have you ever watched the open water swim race? No,
2 hour.
But
that's pretty tough.
But I mean, to me, that's like a horror movie. That's like the movie Open Water. Like, yeah, I'll tell you what gets me keenly interested in the open water swim. One shark.
Well, that was the whole Sydney, when they had the Olympics in Sydney. You know, they had the guys down in the water with the shark repellent things, because they were doing the triathlon in the harbor, which is a big sport there. Would have been a lot less, positive if there was blood in the water. So I don't think there are any sharks in the Tokyo harbor that were, at least none that were participating in the Olympics.
While we were actually preparing for the show and not shouting about the quality of my microphone, I wanted to test your hubris a little bit, and I posed a question to you during the week. And the question that I posed to you, Keith Strudler, was, if you had unlimited time, money, and access to world-class training, how good could you be at race walking? Now, let's keep in mind, and I'm going to give you a chance to do something that I swore I would never do, and I apologize to the people, but I do feel like it is appropriate context. List for the folks, if they don't remember, your accolades in the world of track and field, because you're not a nobody. You're not some Joe Schmo off the couch. You have a pedigree.
Yeah. Now, I mean, to be fair, and this is something I rarely do, which is to be honest, it is far from Olympic caliber. And obviously my best years are decades now in the rearview mirror, and athletes have gotten faster, as they are wont to do in that time period. I was an okay Division I. I mean, okay, and not being okay like I was really good. I was okay. I was an okay Division I runner. I mean, at a school that was pretty good. I was a sub 15 5,000 meter runner, which if you're I was, sub 15 5K runner. That means to be, but the guys who were running the Olympics are sub 13, right? And that's a big divide. So 2 minutes is a lot, right? And so,
did you ever consider, I'm sorry for cutting you off, just running a little faster?
I thought about it all the time. You know what else? Would happen when I was running during meets and I was really hurting? I also considered running slower because it hurt really bad. So I was a decent, like, I could win all the local 5Ks and stuff like that, but I wasn't like, I didn't go to nationals. I wasn't that kind of runner. I was happy to be on the bus. I was really thrilled to make our top 7 for a cross country meet, because we had a pretty good team and that. So, but I was good enough to be a member of a good, Division I cross country program. So that's where I am. And I was probably a little bit better as a triathlete, because I wasn't great at any one thing, but I was pretty good at certainly 2 of those sports. But again, I couldn't get above the elite amateur level. I could never get to even the low level of the pro. So that was kind of where I peaked out. Now I'm obviously old. I still compete, but slowly and for my own for my own pleasure.
Allendale 5K champion, by the way.
Although, yes, two-time. I don't have the trophy with me right now. I like to keep it on the desk just to remind myself, but I am the two-time Allendale 5K. I'm secretly hoping they cancel it once again this year, so I can hold on to my crown. Yeah, they canceled it last year. Fingers crossed. Keep that variant. What's after Delta? Is that the Epsilon? Come on, Epsilon.
No, I think it goes Delta, Delta Max, and then I believe Delta Comfort Plus. Just a little extra leg room.
But you do get to board early.
You get to board and the an upgraded snack.
Yeah. First bag's free. I'll tell you what, the Max, not for nothing. That whole like in between, it's been a while since I've been in a plane. That whole in between, they have your business class and they go to your economy. That whole in between, whether it was economy plus or whatever they call it, business minus. I actually think that's a better name, business minus. But whatever it is, huge variability based on airlines. Huge. Like in some cases, it's literally just same seats. They give you a little bit more leg room. In some cases, though, it's like there's fewer seats in the row, and you're almost you kind of scaled yourself up towards almost like a business class seat.
Yes, you're correct. So back to the matter at hand. With unlimited time, money, and access to world-class training, how good could you get at race walking?
Well, so I considered at that point, I was like, I think I could do some damage. I think I could.
Which, by the way, I know we started this segment by me making fun of your ego. I actually think you probably could get pretty good at race walking.
Here's the only caveat to that. So obviously, look, it's a smaller pool, right? So there's just fewer people that are doing it. The problem is once you get to the elite Olympic level, it doesn't take a ton of people to get that small group that's really good. So, I mean, that's the problem. And now, I mean, granted, what will happen at that Olympic level is once you go down, like the divide between in track and field, almost everyone that's competing is good because there's so many people that are competing, even from countries that are lesser, not as developed. They still have enough athletes. Once you get down the line in the race walking, guys are getting lapped. So I think I could hang on the low end. The problem is though, once we were out actually in college, we were out in California for like spring break training week and meets. There were some world-class race walkers on the track training while we were there. They move faster than you. It's not like they're at the mall, working their way. It's, like in the airport where they have the conveyor belt that you walk on and it looks like you're flying. That's how they look like all the time. And their bodies, I actually don't think they have this weird flexibility thing where it's almost like they don't have joints and they just kind of are really fluid. So as much as I'd like to think that I could have been someone on the race walking scene, my guess is I'd be just as mediocre race walking.
If you started right now, your current age, your current fitness level, and again, unlimited time, money, and access to world-class training, could you get to the top 1,000 in the world in the race walk?
I don't know.
7 billion people on the planet.
I don't know. I have no idea. How would I know that? Do you think I have
you think you could? You think you know how microphones work?
Well, I do know how microphones. Let me get I still can't believe that you were ready to, just for the viewers, you're enjoying the show right now. You were just moments from not, because Geoff was just going to walk away. He wasn't going to use his earbuds. He was like, oh, they don't sound good. They don't sound good.
Because I respect the quality of show that we do and what our viewers or listeners hopefully
Have you watched the show? Have you ever?
Of course not.
You might have a slightly different perspective if you sat and watched the show. You might be less concerned about your audio quality. If you sat and watched the show, you'd be less concerned about the deck chairs on the Titanic, right? That's possible. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to offend any race walkers who are watching. That's my bigger concern. Probably have
first time I think you've ever done anything nice on this show. Last thing to put a bow on the Olympics, I think the greatest moment of the Tokyo Games happened toward the end in, of course, dressage. Yes. The meme that I'm sure you've seen, the German rider Annika Schlew, she was disqualified because of an uncooperative horse named Saint Boy, which led me to learn, Keith, and this blew my mind, that in the sport of dressage, you don't bring your own horse.
Oh,
I assumed all of these athletes like worked in tandem with their horse and had these years-long relationships with their horse. It's not true. They get a random horse 30 minutes before they compete.
Yeah, I knew this. So my high school girlfriend, this shouldn't surprise you, was a showed.
Yeah, we mentioned the Ben and Jerry's.
So she competed. She had her own horse and she competed, in
horse
jumping.
Of course she did.
And she jumped competitively in college, I believe. Yeah. And so so I knew that, yes, you did not get to, it was not a partnership. You had to, it's like bull riding. You don't get to bring your own bull to the rodeo. You got to ride old Bessie over there who's got snot. Like, you can't just show up with your own bull. You got to ride the bull that's there. Same thing. And that's only fair because think about it. If you could, because at that point, you got to give the medal to the horse.
Yes. In fact, one of my biggest gripes of the Olympics is that they don't give the medal to the horse. I think every horse should get a giant medal with their oat bag if they win.
But the horse doesn't want the medal. The horse wants more.
Did you ask it? Maybe Saint Boy was silently protesting because Annika Schlew was in first. And so maybe he made a stand and he said, you know what? We don't get medals, so I ain't jumping.
Well, you didn't tell me why she was disqualified. We never got that far.
Because her coach punched the horse after he failed to perform. You didn't know that? You were teeing that up? The coach punched the horse, so she got disqualified.
Wait. So she's in the lead?
She was in first through the first. Okay. This was the pentathlon. So I'm assuming 5 events of horse riding. This is one of the events. She was in first going into this event, whether it was the second or the third or the fourth, I don't know. And the horse that she got for this particular series of the horse riding pentathlon didn't cooperate and was not going to do any jumps. And in fact, in the meme, just flat out laughed at this poor lady. So she got so frustrated, she started crying, and her coach came onto the track after she aborted the event and punched the horse in the rear. And that gets you disqualified, apparently.
That's like Woody Hayes losing the cool at the end of the Clemson game, and then there goes his legacy. It's the same situation. We've seen this before, although to be fair, not with a horse. And so did the horse. Because I'll tell you what happened in a battle between that guy and the horse. I'm going to tell you who's going to win that thing. Assuming if it's just they just put the two of them in an octagon, I'll take the horse 9 out of 10 times. Horses has 2 things going for it. One, it's large and strong. I guess that's 2. And then the other thing is very small brain. So it's just gonna. That's why horseback riding demands respect. You are putting your life in the hands, or shall I say, the hoofs of an animal that, it's no dolphin. I'll put it that way.
Learning that you don't get to bring your own horse has made me like dressage so much more. I didn't really like it before, and I still don't like it now. But I tell you what, I respect the fact that you don't bring your own horse.
And so now, did this impact Bruce Springsteen's daughter, who I believe was also competing?
She won silver. So it possibly kicked her up a medal.
Really?
I don't know if it was silver in this particular event, because apparently the horse events in the Summer Olympics have grown exponentially. But Bruce Springsteen's daughter won a silver medal in whatever her event was.
Well, just like the extreme sports, it's like skateboarding. I mean, people have I think we've now grown into more dressage events. The public has demanded it. They should do something that combines kind of the extreme sports and the horses together.
Is there another Olympic sport that you think would be improved with the addition of horses? And don't say water polo.
I mean, is it wrong? Well, yes. The answer is yes. I mean, the correct answer is all of them. But let's be calm, because we've seen this before. It's basically a man against beast situation. The obvious one is track and field. How do you not line a horse up? How do you not also how do you not have the horse gets lane 7 in the 400, and then you got to go up against the. That seems like the logical one. Or you do it the right way, which is you give the humans a head start. You stagger it based on the stagger. And so the humans have to do 200 meters. The horse has to do like 600 or 400 or whatever it is. And you race to the finish. That I'd watch the hell out of. I would absolutely positively. We did this in high school, but not with a horse. We had a race in high school.
I can't for the life of me figure out which animal you're going to say.
No, it's not an animal. There was a donut shop that was not far from the high school.
At no point in anything that you've just said have I known what the next word was going to be.
Marbles, cotton candy,
donut shop,
Escalade.
You know what this idea of racing a man against a horse reminds me of? This donut shop from when I was in high school.
There was a donut shop that was not far from our high school. And it depended if you could run there a little under a half mile. You could bike there in like 2/3 to 3/4 of a mile. And you could drive there in like a mile. So we decided to have the race, the biker against the runner against the car, to go to the donut shop, buy a donut and get back and eat it. That was a contest we would have. All right. And so it was the donut relays. And so we did that, and that worked out really well. It ended up being, I believe it ended up being car, not surprisingly, car, bike, runner.
How is the distance different?
Oh, because you could cut through a yard. The bike, it was the way you have to go, right? So there were cut throughs, right? And so, it's tough. The bike, you have to slow down for certain things. So it kind of worked out that we thought it would be pretty even. It ended up being, so then we decided after the first one, we'd actually create relay teams. So each team had a runner, a biker, and a car, and that was the relay, right? That ended because, obviously the car, and we would do this during first period, track period. So this coach was pretty loose on the rules. So this ended. So obviously if you're in the car, you want to get up and get there and get back. Who also hangs out in donut shops sometimes in the morning?
Police officers.
One of the car competitors peeled out of that parking lot about 50 miles an hour. And he did not show up for second period. And we were all just sitting there in second period being like, has anyone seen John? Turns out he went down to the station.
Wait, he was going so fast that they took him to prison?
I don't know, but I feel like I don't know exactly what happened, but it wasn't just like a ticket in his back. Because he would have come right back. He didn't come back for like an hour plus. Remember, he was skipping school basically and driving 50 miles an hour out of the parking lot at a donut shop. Both of those things seem like they warrant some attention.
From one bad idea to another, Keith Strudler. Have you heard about the plight of NBA guard Dennis Schroeder?
No, never heard of him.
Dennis Schroeder had a very good year last year with the Los Angeles Lakers, became the starting point guard. And played extremely well, played so well and fit nicely into what the Lakers are trying to do with LeBron and Anthony Davis, that the Lakers offered him a 4-year, $84 million contract during the last season.
That's great.
That's good, right? It wasn't good enough for Dennis Schroeder, who declined that deal to test free agency. Keith Strudler, here's how that worked out. This week, he signed a 1-year, $5.9 million deal with the Boston Celtics. And according to sources, he's distraught. Turns down $84 million. And then 6 months later, we're not going to cry for him. He's still getting paid $5.9 million next year. But I'm no math major. That is less than the $21 million that he could have been making.
How many years is the contract he's getting now?
1.
How many was the first contract?
4.
So it's not just he's losing a lot now, and he's going to lose a lot next year if he doesn't get a good deal as well. Because now he's got to play himself into a contract.
Because the Celtics, by the way, have Marcus Smart that plays his position. Yeah. And so he's probably not even going to be a starter anymore.
He's praying for an injury at this point. All right. So this is like when you're on the game show on Deal or No Deal, right? And you've only got, and Howie Mandel is like,
yes, it's a lot like that.
And Howie Mandel is like, the banker, they always call the banker. Banker's like, yeah. All right. He's offering you $128,000 or whatever, 200, because there's the million still out there, the million. And we're down to 3 boxes. And so it's like, they're really coming up. And there's a grid that you could figure this out. And the guy's like, look, I just got to eliminate one more box and I'm up to basically $500,000. I got to eliminate one more box. And the women are standing up there in the black dresses. And Howie Mandel's like, are you sure? $200,000, whatever it is, it's life-altering money. It's life-altering money. And this is like the Griswolds in one of the vacation movies. And they're like, are you going to be at European Vacation? Because they won the trip to Europe. They're like, are you going to be a pig? And Clark's like, we're going to be a pig. And so you open the box, and how much does your heart sink when they open the box? And that box says $1 million. How much? How much does that hurt?
I mean, a lot. It sinks a lot.
And then they call the banker, and the banker like, yeah, the offer now is $18. I think I'll take it.
You know who got their start as one of the women in the black dress on Deal or No Deal? Meghan Markle. Quite the ascension for her.
I think I knew that. I knew that.
She went from Deal or No Deal to Suits to Princess.
Suits a great show. It was. It kind of jumped the shark at some point.
It went on for too long. But yeah, so a tough week for Dennis
Here's
Schroeder.
What I never understood about the Suits. I mean, is he not allowed to be a lawyer? Like, just because he didn't pass the bar? Was that the whole deal?
Yeah, you have to be licensed to practice law.
But couldn't he have just taken the bar exam even though he got kicked out of law school?
I mean, I think you have to go to law, like graduate law school.
I don't think so. I don't
you
think
can just take the bar exam?
Yeah, I think so.
Like you can just roll up and be like, bubble in some letters and you're a lawyer now?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's a Scantron exam. I don't think the bar exam. Tweet us if you're a lawyer and a decent lawyer, not like the kind of lawyer that would watch this show. If you're a real lawyer, tweet at us at Sportish Pod. See, I'm pointing the right direction now. Tweet at us and tell us, how do you become a lawyer? What is the process? Because I'll tell you what, I don't want to pay to take the bar. I would totally take the bar though, otherwise. Wouldn't you?
No. Who wants to voluntarily take a standardized test?
It's not standardized. It's much more complicated than that. I don't know. Maybe it's standardized. It's just, but you're making it seem as wouldn't it be great if it's individualized? If the questions had been written specifically.
Okay, John, your client, Lucille.
When you were in 4th grade, you had a dog named Charlie. How do they know that? Like, all right. What's next?
NFL season is about to get underway, Keith Strudler, and the most important position on the field in terms of decision-making is unquestionably the quarterback.
Yes.
Well, a number of quarterbacks, Keith, are making very, let's say, questionable. Mm-hmm. And the word that I wanted to use was incorrect, but we're going with questionable decisions.
How about stupid?
Not to get vaccinated. Carson Wentz hit the media with the classic, it's a personal decision, which is not the answer anyone that's been vaccinated gives. If you've been vaccinated, you tell them when you got vaccinated, what type of vaccine you got, and what your side effects were. And you will say all of that.
Unless you got the Johnson & Johnson, then you're like, yeah, I got vaccinated.
But if you say, I'm not going to talk about it, it's a personal choice, it means that you didn't. Kirk Cousins came out and said that he would do, quote, anything to avoid getting COVID, including sitting in a plastic box in team meetings. But the only thing that he won't do is get the COVID vaccine.
The one thing that will ensure he does not get COVID. He will do anything but that one thing that was literally created to keep you from getting COVID. I will do anything. I will play football at the top of Mount Everest. I will move my family to Alaska. I will do anything. I will slaughter my family. I don't care. I will do but not get the vaccine. Not that. Anything but that.
He went full meatloaf, Keith Strudler. He would do anything for love, but he won't do that. In case you were wondering what that lyric was about, it was so far ahead of its time. And maybe the biggest quarterback, Lamar Jackson, one of the stars of the league, twice test positive for COVID, hit the daily double. And
he gets COVID twice, and he got it. He didn't just get asymptomatic. He's like, man, you do not want this.
No, you know what else he doesn't want? You know what else he doesn't want? Any of that sweet Pfizer.
Think about the contrast where I was ready to kidnap Jay Friedman and steal his identity so I could get the shot earlier. I was making up conditions that I might have, anything. And I mean, so the Lamar Jackson one is fascinating. He got it twice. And both, so first off, what is he doing? Where is he? He got it twice, right? And he doesn't live in Louisiana, as far as I know. You can get it twice in Louisiana. Just go to the 7-Eleven, go to the Circle K, go to a crawfish boil. You'll get it twice. So, but he got it twice. No offense to Louisianans. We love you. We'd love to come down there when it's safe. We'd love to. So he got it twice, which is amazing. And then he still says, I don't know. I got to look at the science. First off, and you know how we feel about this. A lot of people have written about this. When did anyone other than scientists have the ability to be qualified to be like, I got to look this? I mean, imagine if we did this with other parts of our life. If you were like, I'd like to drive a car, but you know what? Those Ford engineers, I'm going to have to look at my own science for the car before I decide to get in one. Could you imagine every time a bus came up and you're in the city, you're going to be like, I'd like to get on that bus, but I don't know who built it. They built it in a hurry. I'm going to have to look at my own auto mechanics and I'll figure out, and maybe I'll get on the bus. Could you imagine if the whole city just stopped taking buses? I don't know. What if you just stopped getting on an airplane? You'd be like, they tell me the Earth's round, that we'll keep going, but I don't know. I got to look at the science. So that's my own rant. I'm the millionth person that's gone on that same rant. Yes. I don't understand.
And we both, for context, both Keith and I have, I would describe it as great disdain for people that don't get vaccinated. So if that's you and you're in our audience, we don't like you very much right now because you're making it harder for us to go about our business.
No, well, Jeff has already shown his true colors before the show came to be, when he threw his own little temper tantrum about the microphone. So Jeff is I'm not going to go full throated and say, I don't like you. I don't like some of the decisions you're making. I don't like.
Would you be friends with someone who purposely isn't getting the vaccine?
I technically am. So I'm a nicer person than you are. I am a nicer person than you are. See, you don't, I want to have friends and I want to be married and I want to have a family. You want none of those things. If they sent you up to an isolate, you would volunteer to go on the moon, like the Mars thing.
Right. And you know why I'm right? 40% of people around here are walking around not getting the vaccine that we created in 9 months. One of the greatest achievements in scientific history was how fast this vaccine was created and how effective that it is. And all these people are pooping all over it.
I do like the scientists that come on. They're kind of like, boy, I just got a message from Jay Friedman. Oh, just saw this. Next time! ! You better get that backup microphone. You better hope your microphone works. He's your backup too. That's what happens when you have a bench of one.
You're throwing a lot of stones from behind that glass house.
He was ready. Oh man, he's hitting himself now. He's probably going out for a 40-mile run and just thinking about this, trying to burn off that energy.
So, he lives a lot closer to me than he does to you. Can we be certain he didn't try to sabotage the microphone?
We can't. We can't. He's stealth. And so let's get back to Lamar Jackson. So yes, I would appreciate if listeners just, Jay Friedman will give you the shot. If you don't trust us, go get it from Jay Friedman. He'll shoot up your arm. He'll give you whatever you want, by the way. He'll give you literally whatever you want.
Now you're speaking our audience.
Hey, could you throw a little extra something in that? I see some room in there.
While I'm here, you got anything from the Sackler family?
How about a third shot? My choice.
You're like an Arnold Palmer, like half Moderna, half Pfizer.
So here's my issue with the the quarterbacks not getting shots. Look, they are no different than, obviously, as you point out, a good percentage of the American population who are insistent on bringing the country to and the world to its knees. By the way, this is sidebar. The report that came out about climate change that was very not good, that basically said, oh, it's hotter than we thought and it's happening faster. But and then the report also said, here's the good news. The power to change this is ours. We can change it. I was like, no, that's the bad news.
Yeah.
Like if they had said, here's the good news, you get to do a coin flip, and if it's heads, you live, and if it's tails, you die. I'd be like, that is good news. We have a 50% chance. Knowing that it's the only way this happens is by our human personal sacrifice. Done. The planet is done.
That is one of the most damning and accurate critiques of humanity that I have ever heard. I mean, that is.
So the problem with the no, you can make the critiques, and I do buy into this. Someone who studies sports heroes, I actually think, given the increased prominence of athletes and their ability to operate outside of the athletic space, I don't think the athletes of today are the same as the athletes of 20 years ago. I think people do look to athletes as role models outside of their sport and outside of, and I think social media has particularly enabled that. And I don't have a problem, just like we've all said, we don't have a problem with athletes taking stands and being engaged. That's great. But with that also comes the reality that when you do something stupid, you have the same potential impact. So I do buy into that. That said, that's not the issue for the team. The quarterback, and I think we probably agree on this, is the single most centrally focused position where you are making hundreds of decisions per, series even, and they're difficult. They impact this is not like, point guard makes a lot of decisions, but the ball keeps going back and forth. You can make good decision, bad decision. Like, I get that, right? Quarterback is the brain trust of the operation. Everyone in a football team has to do their part. The rest of the football team basically has to follow directions, right? Your guards got to do what the guards got to do. The receivers got to follow the route and be where they're supposed to be. The quarterback, though, is the one that gets to use this part of the operation and makes split-second decisions that will change the trajectory. Every single play, the quarterback can do one of several things. They can make a smart play. They can make a stupid play. They can be like, it's 4th and 10, but I think I'm going to run for it. Like, they can do all kinds of stupid things and all kinds of smart things. But, and not for nothing, almost every quarterback, but all starting quarterbacks in the NFL have really good physical skills, some more than others. But I think we can all agree that Tom Brady is not the most physically gifted quarterback in the NFL, and yet he wins all the time, right? And so you want your quarterback to be able to quickly make really smart decisions. Lamar Jackson has had a deadly disease twice, and he's admitted it really sucked. And yet he is not, after 15 months, he is still unable to make the one decision that would make that impossible to happen again. This is the person we are now asking to read a defense and make a split-second decision that may win or lose the franchise, the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens may want to evaluate their decision.
We conclude this episode of Sportish with our most important story of the week. Kentucky Fried Chicken is opening a pop-up hotel in London. It'll be open for 11 nights. It has chicken-themed rooms. Everyone who makes a reservation, $154 a night, is picked up in a black Cadillac called the Colonel Mobile, taken to the KFC boutique hotel, where they're put in a room with a button. And when you press that button, Keith Strudler, somebody brings you chicken. Now, KFC's thought of everything, Keith, because when you sign up for your $154 a night room, you can't just keep pressing that button. No. To prevent overconsumption, to save us from ourselves, Kentucky Fried Chicken has capped the amount of room service chicken you can receive at $139 worth.
This is where we need a graphics person on the show. I'd like to see what $139 of value meals. How many buckets is that? What's a bucket of chicken? Like $10?
Probably. I mean, it can't be much more than that.
$15 or a bucket. It's probably gone up, right? So I do love that they have been like, look, this is a great hotel concept, but we may have a heart attack crisis on our hands. We may need to put defibrillators in every room if we don't cut them off. But the number that they capped it at is so remarkably high. You know what I haven't heard that this hotel has? A gym.
But you know what it does have? A KFC themed arcade game.
Oh, really?
So not only can you eat chicken in real life, you could also eat chicken in the virtual life.
What if you could have your hotel room, your hotel themed as any restaurant? By the way, I'm going to say your version of purgatory is you live at the Olive Garden restaurant. The Olive Garden Hotel. You live at the Olive Garden. That is your purgatory. It's not hell because it's not fire, but you're in a decent, like you're in a Holiday Inn kind of style equivalent. And when you press the button, all that comes out is red.
The only thing worse to me, the only thing worse to me than eating at an Olive Garden is sleeping at one. Because that's rock bottom. That means you had so much Alfredo sauce that you can't even drag yourself back home. Like, is there anything lower, Keystra? Is there anything lower than falling asleep at the Olive Garden? Than just taking a quick nap in your tour of Italy?
When you order the tour of Italy with the multiple pastas, what if the waiter be like, you can have that, but before I bring out the second heaping, the second serving, I'm going to need to take your keys.
What if at the Olive Garden Hotel, instead of a mint on your pillow, it's chicken parmesan?
And if the shampoo is poultry scent?
Is the conditioner marinara sauce and the shampoo is a bolognese?
The hotel sold out like immediately.
Which, and another thing, we don't have a lot of time left, but why is this in London? Is there a concept more tailor-made for America? I was like, I didn't know they had a town named London down in Alabama.
Let's be clear. You don't need... There are a lot of people in this country that are hitting the $130 chicken limit. You don't need that hotel.
If you take anything away from this episode of Sportish, less chicken, more vaccines. That's all the time we've got. We thank you for hanging out with us, whether on For the Fans, FTF Next, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. He's Keith, I'm Jeff, and we're back at it next week as long as the microphones work. See ya.
Thanks for listening to Sportish. See you next time.